From our last reading, I just noticed anything that was not proper, and omitted or wrong, or whatever.
Hey, Allison.
Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and second to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, public comments? What public?
You are right. So I did hear just today from somebody asking about buckskin. They said that it was just a lot of trash. This is just things to pass along. So that usually it's always picked up, but that it was just hanging around. So I think I think I even saw you collecting stuff with your grands on your mule once, maybe because.
Oh, yeah, down in Hayfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a lot.
We've had funny winds, I swear.
That's
It's like
it.
sucking
Oh,
it
yeah.
up. I mean.
Yeah,
so
the
like-
wind was so bad.
Mhm.
There is a
Oh,
lot
I agree.
around the east side of the landfill
Mhm.
from all this wind.
Mhm. Oh, it's on my side too. I mean,
Yeah.
trash
It's
angels,
just-
I call
yeah.
them, just you can't reach it. Like,
Yeah.
Get that shit out of there.
What you call them, trash angels?
Some at Christmas looks kind of like angels.
know,
so I try to
sometimes-
see the good.
Occasionally in the past, they have had people.
Yeah, I
come in
can
and
ask them to come over.
You know, I don't know how far down.
Sure. It was just a
Oh.
neighbor over there reached out to me. I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
I know one year they picked up Miss Webb's field and
Yeah.
Inkster's field because they'd blown so much plastic.
Sure.
Yeah,
It
I
happened.
was gonna bring that up, that I have seen it, you know, this is the worst I've seen in a long time. We've had wind like you would with,
Oh, well, that's why I want climate records and
And
things like
it's
that. We're
mostly-
measuring, you know?
and it's mostly plastic bags.
Well, I mean, I
Mostly.
even found a piece, I'm like, that was from a McDonald's big breakfast.
Oh,
buffet.
yeah.
I didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
And it had teeth marks, you know, I'm like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's interesting. You learn a
Yeah.
lot, you know?
yeah. But, yeah, I did, there's a lot down around in that wetland, but I don't know how you go in at it. And
Well,
that's, I know
That's
that
probably
wetland.
something that needs to be addressed, though.
It
yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
I mean, make it, get it cleaned up,
Mhm.
you know, before it
I had
goes
to-
in, before it goes in.
Get a dead squirrel out of a pool the other day, so things happen. you know?
Especially once it gets past trees there around the edge, it can blow it all away.
Mhm. Right, oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that.
Mhm. I just
What is,
have
anything
one
else?
along. Of course, but I don't know where to fit that in, like, I don't know if we're gonna learn more from Brian. or-
Brian won't be here today.
Okay. Like, I would just, cause the wind is something, I even think of just how that methane flame affects things, and then I wonder now with the big water vapor, because that's crazy to watch. I mean, like, so to learn more about the leachate and, I mean, I just think we all need to be educated on that, and maybe that's somewhere to be shared, but, I don't know. That was one public curiosity as a neighbor. And just the things that I brought up,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, I hope we don't like plow through accepting something that needs more consideration. And I don't know if it's this body or what layer of things, but.
Well, if not, at the end of the meeting, we can revisit, I think, if we need
Okay,
to address something.
okay.
All right, and for the update.
Well, he did send me
He did
a
send me-
text. So he said, mostly his presentation was going to consist of the first quarter data. 227, 421 tons came in during the first quarter, trash. The host fees were $694,358. Of the total tons, 93% was MSW or just regular trash. Of total tons, 76% was by rail. Cell construction continues on cells 25C and 24A. They had a DEQ inspection on March the 16th. They have not received the report yet. That's his.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions, but I don't know whether Patty has the answers to his report.
Did y'all get the certificate back for the scale being up to snuff now or whatever? Because last time I talked to the weights and measures people, it hadn't gotten back. It had been issued maybe, but it didn't reflect.
That's something internal to them, so.
Okay.
I don't.
Gotcha. I don't know, that feels kind of weird that we don't, I mean, I know it's internal to them, but if they're the only ones with access to the scales, then
Well, I mean, they are monitored by the,
weights and measures.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was asking Taylor about it, it was just weird. We don't know when it broke or we don't, and I'm like, well, we should, like, I mean, that's kind of important to know. How long has it not been weighed? If that's what we're making money on as a county, with them depositing.
the answer to that was that if they were to not have accurate scales, it would hurt them a lot more than it would us.
Sure.
We just get.
Sure, I understand they're taking a hit, but that's why it should be easy to share knowledge. Like, yes, we got screwed 2.5 weeks or, like 2.5 months. I mean, just out of curiosity, because I don't know the frequency of those inspections of that scale.
I think it's, I believe it's monthly,
Okay.
but I can follow up.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, like, I don't know how often they do the gas pumps or, like, it's just,
Gas pumps are done. I know,
yeah,
Paul and I both know the guy used to do that.
okay.
And it usually boiled down to first, how many complaints. Or
Oh,
people not getting, don't think they're getting
their money's
the
worth.
number of gallons
Huh.
for what they pay.
So that's how an
And they come
inspection
out
is an
and
initiative.
they'll measure it. And
Okay,
then if it's off, they put a lock on
okay.
it and it has to be fixed.
So you have to get complaints to start an inspection.
Well,
for a
not
gas pump.
always. You still pick and choose, but I think the complaints get top of the list.
Generate, okay.
And then it, then they'll just have a check of, spot checks of stations around and just keep
Mhm.
going. They have districts, I guess you'd say,
Right.
that each would work. Or some
Service.
big districts.
Mhm.
That's the bad part.
And we'll
But
go
that's how
over that.
gas pump works. I
Okay.
don't know about
Sure.
the weight,
But that's
but
interesting.
it's all part of the same.
Right, weights and measures and all.
He did go to some better too, he had to go to some grocery stores, he went to Southern.
Yeah,
States, and weighed some
measure.
of
Sure, wherever
Do the
there's
scale,
scales
wherever
in the
the scales
public, I
Wherever
guess.
there's a
Yeah,
scale on it. Yeah.
Whenever you're charging.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Well, because they're at the cattle
We
market,
know.
they're, like making sure you're weighing things.
You're
Right.
buying
Mm-hmm,
something and it's going all the way.
Mhm.
You're
sure,
selling and it's all the way.
right.
Subject to
Inspection,
Yeah.
right. So I figured there's a rhyme or reason
Yeah.
to some of that, so I was just curious for us what applied with those scales, because they are funky with the multiple pieces. so
Right.
I see how that could go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that when you do this every day,
You
it would be
kinda
like a
know.
lot hard. I
Right,
mean, if it's 20 pounds off, you might not know, but
Right.
when trucks are consistent and they see a few hundred pounds change regularly, then that's probably when they realize, hey, there's something
Yeah.
wrong.
well, and that goes back too, though, to some of my questions about the material that's no longer in the packet that has the breakdown, like depending on who's entering the data, how long does it take them to see? You know what I mean? Like, and if you've got different categories, it might, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of moving pieces to understand best how it operates. That's all I'm curious about.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, old business, review of the landfill agreement and the special exception. Patty has a copy of that. See you.
I couldn't, I wasn't sure if we had finished with that last time. That's why I put it before.
Okay,
Because I didn't have it in my minutes. So
Mm-mm.
thank you.
I guess I think it's I think what Allison, sent out about the pay scale. And how, I think she had a very valid question, how is that determined, on the rate as far as the tonnage?
Right. Like,
Schedule, yeah.
How the, who decides? Does the county also need to be monitoring
We
the
get a,
tonnage compared to what the contract?
we get a computation every year, at the first of the year. If their tipping rates go up a certain amount, and it's spelled out in there, it's kind of one of those things that mathematicians have.
Legalese.
Yeah. But if it goes up significantly, then our host fee would go up as well. If it goes down, we could lose that extra 10 cents we've been getting since 2004, but it could not go below the original base rate. But they do that calculation at the first of the
It
year.
is done.
Yeah.
Like,
And actually, I think tipping fees have gone down a bit since the landfill was started.
So that's probably controlled by a nation standard, basically, then.
Right,
Keep
or
everybody-
competition,
Competition.
Yeah.
Kind of like the recycling industry.
right.
It's
They do.
the,
Oh, that's fine, they do that calculation.
okay.
Yeah, it is being looked at. But now Allison was talking about just, I guess, the county asking for higher host fees.
right,
exactly.
And
that's what I was talking.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, wait a minute, I don't think that's what I said. I didn't
Right.
follow, yeah.
And there was some discussion years ago where they wanted to go higher. They're limited to 100 feet above base grade. They wanted to go higher, and the county was like, well, if you want to go higher, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And all the calculations were done, and they decided they didn't want to pay us what we were asking.
And I'd like to see comparables. I want to see how we stack up against how many different sites that they have throughout the country.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I want to see what they're doing in Charles City. and I
Yeah,
want
what
to see
they're-
what those agreements are.
what
I
those
want to in Phoenix, Arizona. I want to see it.
Um,
That's me. And I agree. We're
Because
here.
it should be leveraged equally.
And if you look at what a ton, what's comprised when we get a ton, what's the breakdown of the money that comes out of that? And where are we in that equation?
Yeah, I agree. I think that we can definitely get the information for the other waste management facilities in Virginia. I don't know that it would be apples to apples if we did other states.
Yeah, but the only thing I'd say, in the a lot of the northern areas, where they have a heavy union representation, I think the rates are going to be higher, just to meet the increased cost. And some areas it may be lower.
Or we can't get the
Where
DIY
it's,
in the box before it leaves. That,
Right, it's
that
a
area.
lower population or,
Mm.
altogether different economic. But I think Virginia overall would be saying, I know there's been competition from, I know the Chesterfield, the one that they here, Skinsport, he said took some bid. He said not much, but there's the one in Cumberland. I don't even know whether it's open yet.
No, they
Green Ridge, no.
He said they were expecting to lose some of them.
Right.
That's right. He said they were expecting when it opened.
Right.
So, we've got competition. One in Waverly.
Yes.
Has a one in Waverly.
Atlantic waste.
So, there's a,
Sure, but
in
like,
Virginia, I think for the size, we've got a lot.
when how many years left on the big contract that's really boomed us? So like, I'm no financier, but like, it just seems like we should be making sure we're
Yeah.
getting our part
Yeah.
for what we deserve.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking. And that we spend it well
Well, I think
on the
that's,
other side.
maybe ask Brian to get us they have any kind of rates, competition wise around the state.
Well, so we want to see what the other waste management sites in Virginia are getting as host fees.
I think that would be,
What about other companies? I don't know.
well, they may not know.
I know, I don't know if we can get that.
The only time they know if they go up,
These documents used to be on our website, our agreement. It's not there anymore. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the counties probably can share, you would
Right.
think. What they know where the money's coming
Yeah.
from.
And again, these are the things I don't know because I'm still learning, but like I said, if in a ton of waste that comes, what is, if you put it in a pie chart, what's our slice
Right.
compared to,
Yeah.
you know, we understand you got operating costs, and let's see all that. Help us, share it with us. You know, so we'll have a better understanding of some of the challenges that you face. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get the most bang for our buck.
Yeah,
Sure.
This morning, it sounded like, timpani drums, those in the symphony that just get really loud. But it was like an outdoor.
I'll give you that.
concert.
It really did this
It
morning.
was thunder. I mean, you're like, is this attack? No, this is trash. Okay.
I was like, they were starting early this morning and like closer.
Well,
Yes.
outside. Like, ooh,
Yes.
what-
I'm wondering, is some of that, the containers, the
It
rail
is.
containers that they're hauling,
Yep.
cause I hear them. Bam, bam,
Yeah,
bam.
it's like God's got metal dice. I mean.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I listen a lot. I can share many nuances.
Okay.
So the good thing is that they are almost done at that backside, so they'll.
Yeah, they'll be
back
doing
in
that.
there.
Well,
Well, I'll try to get out of that information for y'all. next
yeah,
week.
just, and have it when Brian's here, cause he would,
Right.
it'd be,
Well, I'll coordinate with him.
Maybe we could not wait 3 months. I mean, could we make it sooner? I mean, like to Brian's schedule or coordinating members' schedules?
I mean, that information can be emailed out.
yeah, usually.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least know.
and that way then we would have the information by the next meeting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And we have time for
That would be
discussion.
helpful.
Discussion.
Anything to
Yeah.
make progress would be
Right.
wonderful.
I know we gathered all that information years ago. but it-
I think it's time for an
Yeah.
update.
Yes.
Time for an update.
Well, I mean, and how the flow of things has altered now that we're handling more of our leachate. Is that like all of it or most of it or?
Of the evaporator?
Yes, ma'am.
It is most of it.
Okay, so they don't have that expense of shipping it off
Right.
anymore.
They actually could, treat it all, but
Mhm.
right now, when they first started it, it was a little bit odoriferous. And so they suspected for some reason that it was the rail waste leachate. because the rail waste-
Couldn't be.
So they chose to separate
Okay,
that leachate.
okay.
So on the backside, they've got what you call a frac tank where they're collecting the rail leachate and the trucks are driving around back and
Yeah.
forth from there. So they're just treating with the evaporator, the pre-rail waste.
Okay,
And, but they could potentially treat all their leachate that way.
okay. So then they bring the leachate back and put it on top of the fresh trash.
No,
Is
no,
the-
we do not circulate leachate. It goes to a wastewater treatment.
So that does all go, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just was thinking we were keeping some in-house then. I wasn't quite sure.
So, no,
Okay.
stop that. That never panned out working like they thought.
Right, no, I remember that, but I
Yeah.
just was like, are we there again? But, I just,
You know, they're just driving around back to collect it from that frac tank.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
They
So
just
that's
want it
on,
separated out.
that's on my end.
Yeah,
The
it's a big
frac
blue
tank.
box.
Okay, I don't think I saw that when you shared the tour, so,
Um,
or maybe I didn't
It
understand
wasn't
what
there
it was.
yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's new, gotcha. Thank you.
All right, does anybody have anything else on the, agreement? Yeah. I think we got outlined here the unacceptable waste. Is that a-
yes, that was the,
Just,
Brendan had asked some questions that I sent to Jeff Gore and that just wanted to, I had emailed y'all that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to provide that to you.
okay. What is the pleasure? I have to look it over.
How would it play in? May I ask a question? With, the 600-acre solar panel next door. I mean, I don't know. I just wondered how that would, you feel about that? It just, I mean, and, I don't know. Seems like a lot of stuff in one place.
Yeah.
What do you feel, Crystal? Because you would be a neighbor
Yeah,
too.
so I've pretty much given the same answer to everybody. It's very diplomatic. Because the construction entrance is slated to be right across from my house.
Is that where you are? Okay, now I know exactly where you are.
Yeah, so, I am okay with solar. We have made comments to the company, to be very mindful of neighbors. We need them to be a good neighbor.
Mhm.
Because this means that I will have waste management on one side and a solar farm on the other. So while I do have opinions, I will not be offering those up right now, because it will be my main job to handle it from start to finish. So, yeah.
But you won't have neighbors and people are way worse.
Exactly. So that's the other part.
That's the other part, you know. I'd rather, you know.
No, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
It's just like the year of hell in assembly, you know, you think of all the rock, all the trees. I mean, trees go in and out all the time, but
Mhm.
you know when there's a big track, you know, leaving.
Yes.
Because it
Just
just,
think of 400 or 500 houses back in.
Oh, I know.
All new.
Right.
Yeah.
right, no, I understand.
Yeah.
I do.
Uh,
I do. I just want things handled well.
Mhm.
That's my, you know.
Yes. The nice thing is, once construction is complete, they do make wonderful neighbors. But you don't,
John,
you don't hear or anything once it's done.
Mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm.
you know, my concern is, once all this gets going in the construction and how they're gonna go about with the land. That's definitely my main concern.
How they handle the land,
Mhm.
right, yes. Well, and that's kind of what I find troublesome too. I don't have a lot of faith in the way how this thing goes. I understand now that after that meeting, DEQ has changed some rules about
They have their,
the water, like how you have to handle things like erosion and.
they are really cracking down on solar. They've actually got a team now, which I'm very grateful for.
Yes,
So
Me too.
I'll be able to send everything to them and help,
Yeah.
which is,
Good.
it's great.
Have a resource.
We have conservation plans, whatever, we work. And
Mhm.
we're checked
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
periodically,
Oh, yeah.
randomly. But I have to follow that,
Mhm.
Sure.
and there's no reason
It's land management. And if
That's
you
it.
screw it
Yes.
up,
They
you're
can't.
screwing a lot of people.
with the technology and the
Right.
new thing they got there that they can't, they don't have runoff, like I've seen in some of them. So,
Huge concern,
Yeah.
huge concern.
and West Creek will flood
Mhm.
if two dogs go up beside a tree.
Right.
So you gotta,
Right.
you know, that
That's,
thing floods every.
well, but that's what
It
we
might
might.
have flooded last night.
Right, right. I mean,
But, you know, it's a very big watershed,
sure. Oh, I'm familiar.
Mhm.
you know, that's what I hope that they do.
Because I mean, and I just don't think logistically, will they come down Buckskin or will they come Robinson Road? Because I don't know. I just,
VDOT's supposed to be
I know.
telling
because
me that very soon.
The bridgeway doesn't hold it. And
There's
VDOT's
another
have to
road
make
toward Biden
improvements
involved.
to be
We
able
ought
to
be
do
able to
it.
get it.
Yeah.
But if
They
they're.
can't get their way out of the hole.
No.
That's
Can't get our-
my side.
I know.
You know,
They're supposed
They
to
can't keep
choose
going.
the most direct route for trucks that they can easily access to get in and out.
sounds like Buckskin Road to me.
I don't know.
Mhm.
They're supposed to let me know.
I would think it would be Buckskin. It's a lot closer to 360.
It is,
Mhm.
but why would they worry about, where is a bridge on Buckskin? The only one I know of is,
Right below her.
right,
Mhm.
Yeah.
near like Bill Quarter, right?
Yeah.
Right, so they wouldn't want to cross that.
Well, that's a weight limit on that.
Right, 12
It is.
tons, I know.
Mhm.
Might get a new bridge out to do.
That's, but yeah, so directionally, I'm just thinking of the approach.
I would think they would come off of 360 down.
Okay.
Maplewood and Buckskin.
Mhm.
Okay, but then the
That's
bridge
much
would be irrelevant at that point, right? Because you don't have
Yes.
to cross it.
No,
Right. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to understand, if they're looking at bridge improvements, that kind of tells you what direction they would be coming.
And post bridge improvement, that been down before they started, that's gonna take a year,
Right,
minimal.
well, that's where.
Just to build it, that's our
Bucks
end.
has to, that's the confluence of the one behind the land
Yeah.
and the other one. So, yeah, just curious. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, what was our pleasure? Are we done with this for now? I mean, till the next time it comes up?
Yeah, I think we will, the changes that we already
We made
corrections.
that was motion to approve it.
So move.
Second.
The move and seconded that we approve it, as we have it now in our hand. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? New business.
I do. It's kind
Okay.
of, kind of for Brian, but, I got a call the other day from, Billy Capps. 6625 Pine Ridge
Yeah.
Drive. So on Saturday,
Oh, yeah.
the train blocked his
I saw that.
driveway for over 4 hours.
Yeah.
At one point, and 30 minutes later in the day. And he called me just to see what he could do, and I said, well,
That's the railroad.
that's the railroad. But I do agree with him. I mean, that's unacceptable at any level. If he had an emergency, his son missed work, his wife's a hospice nurse. But if their house caught on fire,
Mhm.
it was burned to the ground, who's liable at that point? But, ultimately, that train stopped because it's going to the landfill. It's going to the landfill because the landfill is making money. So I absolutely, if it broke down, he would complain. And I agree with him. I feel the same. When you're inconveniencing other people for your financial gain, something's got to give there. And 4 hours, just, it may be a one-off accident, I don't know, but I don't think it's acceptable. And I know we can't really control the Norfolk Southern, but I know we can pressure the landfill to figure it out. That's what I'm thinking. So I'd just like to ask, Brian, to see, they may not even be aware of it.
They are.
I have
And
a
he has-
video of it if you want to see it.
And he has contacted the railroad.
Okay,
I don't think he's heard back yet, but
because I know
Well, it might be.
at this point, Waste Management is the only person that has any leverage with the railroad at all, because
they don't think they do, but I understand what you're saying.
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
And yeah, I was talking to Taylor about it this morning and definitely will follow up on that. But Brian has reached out to the railroad.
okay.
And it's happened before. They actually used to block Buckskin many, many times.
Yeah,
The sheriff's office can be called, Norfolk Southern can be,
they have
ticketed,
got to.
and they've gotten ticketed. So,
Okay.
So that's the
Yes,
that's
protocol.
good.
yeah,
Thank you.
so just so everybody knows, they can be
20.
ticketed.
So Mr. McCabe's tried to call the railroad with no avail, so next time I tell him to call
Yeah,
911.
Exactly. Well,
Or non-emergency.
not as,
Yeah.
not emergency, but yeah,
2118.
But if you got to get out, it's an emergency.
Yeah.
yeah.
If,
That's right. Good.
legally,
We'll get more money.
legally, the railroad can block for 20 minutes.
Well,
And it's supposed to be.
I mean, he addressed the 15 to 20 minutes and said he has no problem with that. He
Yeah,
understands where.
well, it takes time to.
Yeah.
Chill, but you don't sit there for 4 hours.
He said longer than 4 hours.
Yeah. And I realize it was an extremely long train, but you got people like, break it,
Yeah, you got to break it there.
pull it down and break it at Jackson Lane. And
Yes.
then they've got room
Mhm.
between Buckskin and Jackson Lane that they can use as a siding until they get the cars situated. So I get caught behind it a lot of times. too. But it's you that hadn't been more over the 20 minutes.
Right.
But it, Saturday, cause I know one time, I think it was Brian told me, they had a big train on the weekend, but they had no crews
Mhm.
that could run the train. They had to get a crew from South Carolina. Come up,
That's crazy.
and that's, so when that train is scheduled, every train comes through its schedule. If they knew that train was there, because they had nobody do it. Well, those guys come up, they don't know how everything works. usually I'm sure it's probably the same general personnel
Yeah.
that brings it. Yeah, it's, I thought the same thing. If they had a emergency of any kind back in, what do you do? There's no other way in, absolutely no other way in.
Mhm.
You got a mile and a half, 2 miles of training.
Yeah. So, yeah, we went to working at a shop all day that day and I took up at a train still in. And like I say, it went down, then a little while later, come back and blocked it again.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I can't understand it. So a lot of times they'll have the locomotives will be up when they're finishing up, be up past Jackson Lane and he'll sit there. Anyway, well, he'll come and conductor walking
Mhm.
from the landfill all the way up there. And they just sit up and wait. And I'm like, they have something better. You know,
One would wish.
huh?
One would wish.
Yeah, you would think, I mean, hell, I don't care if they have to ride in one of the old cabooses.
Mhm.
Okay, well, fine, ride in it. You ain't going for 10 miles,
Mhm.
but they don't see it that way. They run fewer people as they can and
Oh, yeah. And to speak of the train schedule though, I wish there could be like a calendar of like, hey, it'll be a quiet day. Hey, it's gonna be a noisy day. Because I mean, I would make arrangements to make sure I'm not at home, like, yeah, they know
Yeah,
when
I
shit's
think
coming.
I'll bring that up too. If you want to see this, so glad you did. All right, does anybody else have any new business? Allison, you have anything you like to add at this time?
Sure I do, but. Thank you. No, thank y'all for listening.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So,
Something's been moved and seconded, we adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Appreciate y'all coming.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
We will. Silly.